Yeah, we're looking good.
Okay. Well, I'm learning. That's all I can say. All right. You know Alpha can't do PI. They can set it up, but they can't withdraw. As an Omega, you'll need to train specific skills. As I said earlier, the skills you'll need are the command center upgrades, interplanetary consolidation. It basically gives you more power. This one basically gives you more planets. This one gives you strength and accuracy of your scan, and this one gives you accuracy. Both of these two have to do with scanning. This is the power, and this is the planets. So you want to train those and get those up to 5. Real simple, real quick, real easy. Here they are. They're found under planet management, and those are the specific skills you need to train. As we go back to the skill plans themselves, we go to corporation plans. We recommend that you get a Galante hauler. It take you probably about 5 days to train into it. It's right here. This shows you the skill plan contents, 6 minutes, 30 minutes, 2 hours, 24 minutes. It's not going to take you too long. It's probably going to take you 5 days or so. I don't remember what I figured it to. It's not going to take you real long, but you definitely want to train into that because it has a command center hold and it has a PI hold. And so this will allow you to haul all your PI goods, and this will allow you to haul all your command centers. I've got a command center in there already for the demonstration that we're going to do. So for background information, we don't like to run completely willy-nilly on PI. What we like to do is we have an accurate plan or a goal that we want a specific goal we want to reach. And what we'd like to do is have everybody on track to the same goal that we have. And in order for you to find out what you need to be doing, the best thing is to get in touch with Roman, Memnock, or Nate, or somebody along that lines that knows what we need and how you can best serve the corporation with your passive income. We like to have it that way because we have a grander scheme in mind of what we want to accomplish, and for you to play a part in that, you're going to have to pick up a particular role, and you're going to have to stick with it. And so basically we're going to be doing, this is a basic class. It's a P0 to P1 class. So that's just a background information. We want you to keep in mind that this is passive money and that we have a plan. Right now it has to do with something else. But anyway, so what we're going to do is we're going to talk to Memnock, and Memnock's going to tell us that we need water off an ice planet. Okay, that's our orders that we get from management. So the first thing we want to do is we want to go to Ulysses PI scheme, and we want to find where water is on this list. Oh, there it is right there. All right, so we know what we need.
Change your screen capture. You're on a different monitor, I think.
Same monitor.
Oh, we're seeing your
You're
games
sharing
through.
Eve, not sharing your screen.
Okay.
On
Okay, I'll
Discord.
tell you what we'll do. I'll tell you what we'll do is under general chat, I'm going to put a link, and everybody can click on that link and we can look at it all together. Have you guys seen this before?
Got it. Yeah.
Okay. So everybody kind of has an idea how this works, right? So we need to decide where we're going to get water. Water comes from aqueous liquids. We're going to need to keep that in mind. So the aqueous liquids come from all these type of planets, right? You with me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so we can see that aqueous liquids come from all that planet. All right, back to my other screen. X that out. All right, so now we're back at my inside the ship hangar, and we are wanting to find water, and water is made from what?
Aqueous liquids.
Aqueous liquids. Good, good. Somebody's with me. All right, so we know that we need to find that. One way we can do it is we can go about up through here and scan down through here and double click on stuff, and we can show info, but it doesn't really give us information that we need. It kind of leaves us high and dry. But if I go to the agency tab, I go to resource harvesting, and I go to planetary industry. I find right here in our system OIPO, right here showing results. This is where we're at. And if I look further to the right, it's going to show me all the planets that are in OIPO. If you remember on your Ulysses PI, there's several types of planets that offer what we need. Now I want you to notice down here that this gas planet gives us approximately 2.5, 3 squares. All right, there's other planets in here. Oops, down there. Oh, that's not very good, is it? That one's way down. Well, that one's about 3.5 squares. That one's about 3.5 squares. And that one's about 3 squares. Look at this one. Ready for this? Bam! So this is where we want to go put some aqueous liquids and some water distribution. We need to go down there. This is the planet that we need to go, right? Opio 3, and it's an ice planet. And we're going to go. Now remember, we've got to have, that's where we want to go. So we know what we need. We know where we need to get it. Now we're going to learn how to get the resource that we need. Okay? That should be fairly simple for now. Is that you've got to get the word from what you need. You've got to find it. You can use adjacent systems, whatever you want to do. I actually have all of my PI in Hagenen. I don't use OIPO for my PI. I just don't. And then I even have one in Ilanya that I use. So it's a very
Hey, Smokey, could you expand a little on that, on why you use those different systems and not our home system?
Okay, sure. I'd be glad to. So one of the things that we need was enriched uranium. If you'll go back to your Hannes IO page and make it large, you need enriched uranium, and you know that it's right there under P2. And notice that it comes from toxic metals and reactive metals, which come from noble metals and heavy metals. You guys see that on the Hannes IO page?
Yep.
You guys, are you other guys with me, or are you guys just kind of?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So what we have to do is that we've got to find a planet that has both of those resources readily available. And as you go down and look through these resources and look at what you have, sometimes you're not going to find a planet that's going to meet all of your needs. And so sometimes the closest planet may be a couple jumps away that will meet your needs. So we need those two materials. And so in order for us to do that, what we had to do is that we had to set up in a system of OIPO, or in Lanya, to pull one end of what we need of P0, and then the other end out of the P1 or P0 that we need. And then we run them through factories, and then we get the enriched uranium output. So that's because I have two different sources of P0 pulling from this planet. And I'm finding one planet that will allow me to do both of these. And then that way I won't have to have an assembly planet or something where I have to have those particular inputs put into a system that already exists. This is a self-production planet, and it makes
Yeah. So because of that, you can put everything, and then your output that you need, it all comes off of one planet, so you don't have to
Exactly.
move stuff around.
Exactly. And what I'm getting based on this setup is around 135 to 150 enriched uranium per day per 23 hours. But the reason for looking for alternate planets is that sometimes you need to have both of those resources on one particular planet, and then then go and set up your PI on that planet, and then you can draw from those resources right there and create a usable P2 factory that goes from P0. So this is where we get P0 out of our extractors into our extractor head machine, into a storage unit, into two basic facilities, goes over here, and then once it gets mixed together with what's coming from there, then it goes to the advanced factories, and it outputs right back here. So as output, I have 135 enriched uranium right there inside the launch pad. So the reason for going to the other planet is so that we can get the resources that we need. Sometimes you can't get them on one planet, so you need to try and find a planet that has both of those resources, and then you can go from there. All right, does that make sense? Clear as mud?
Yeah. Yep.
Clear as mud. All right, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, so now we know what skills we need. We know the better ship to haul in. We know what we're going to produce, and now we know what planet has what we need. You remember what it was? I think it was OPO Planet 3. Do you remember? Let's see.
Yeah, I think it was the ice planet, right?
Yeah, OPO Planet 3, right. Okay, so that's where we're going to want to go and set up. We're going to need an ice command center, right? So I've already taken the liberty to speed up the process in my command center hole. I already have an ice command center. Okay? So what we're going to do now is we're going to travel to OPO 3, and we're going to set up an aqueous liquid to water P0 to P1 planet. That's what our goal is. That's the modus operandi. That's the modus operandi. That's what we got to work with, right? All right, so I'm going to undock. I'm going to undock, and I am. There's more than one way to skin a cat. I don't like using that thing. I always go this way. Warped within Zoom.
Warp drive active.
I'm going to the ice planet. Who'd we lose? We lost somebody.
And I think somebody just disconnected and came back, because I think we had 5 total. Thought we did anyway. So.
Okay, so now we are at Jeez, look how big that is. We're at OPO number 3. Okay. So what we're going to do is right click on the planet, and no, we're not going to do that. Let's visit the POCO. We're going to access the customs office. We're going to access. Come on now, quit being like this. Planetary industry. All right, so now here we are on the planet. Remember that I talked about all of the scanning skills that you're going to need. So right here you find, up here on the left, you find your sliders. And you can increase your sliders to find, first of all, we need to tell it to scan for aqueous liquids, right? See how quick that went? Look down here on the underside. Look at that big old red spot. There's some white spot. So what this is telling us is that these white spots are high concentrations of the aqueous liquids that we are trying to extract and use, right? You look at the bottom, we can change these around a little bit to find out where exactly the hot spots are located. Okay? And I'm thinking right there is pretty good. You see these two concentrations right here? I think that's going to be pretty good, and we're going to be able to set an extractor head that should be able to reach both of those. Right? Okay, so now we've found what we need to mine, we've scanned it out, and now we see it. We see where the highest concentrations are. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to build, and we're going to click on our ICE command center. And now we're going to come down here and we're going to place it somewhere. I like to keep it fairly close to what we're doing, because anytime you click in on your planet, it's going to go to the command center. And if the command center is located near your buildings, then you're going to be way better off than having to look all over the planet to find your setup. All right, so I'm going to place it here. I click it. And now it's going to, this is very important, this page right here. It's edits pending, and I have to submit that. Now it has turned a different color, right? And what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to get all the power we can on this station. So what I do is I left click on it, and we're going to click on upgrade. And then we're going to go all the way to 5, because that's where my skills allow me to. It's going to cost me 6 million. I'm going to upgrade it. That means I've got as much power as I can get on that planet site, on the planet surface. Now, once you've placed this command center, you can do anything anywhere you want to. Just don't delete the command center. Keep in mind that it always centers on the command center. So if you uproot all of your buildings to go to a different hotspot, then you're going to have to, every time you come to it, you're going to have to come to the command center and then rotate the planet around, and it becomes a quality of life issue, in my opinion. All right. So now we've got that. We've got the command center built. We've got the command center upgrades to level 5. And now what we're going to start to do is we're going to start to create our extraction facilities. Okay? So what we're going to do first is we're going to install an extractor head, an extractor control unit. And what this is going to do is it's going to be our basis for our mining heads. I'll show you that in just a second. So you could set this up to get both of those, but I'm just going to set this up to get one, just for the sake of demonstration. You can put it anywhere you want to put it, but I like to put it right here around the edge. And I'm going to place it right there, and I'm going to hit submit. Now, what I want you to notice about this is that if I click this, it's got a circle or a radius from that extractor head that can be used to place your extractor modules, your drillers. Okay? So keep that in mind, because that's all the further you can move it. All right? So we're going to stop that. All right, we're going to install an extraction program. So you see this down here to the right. I'm going to move it up here so we can see it. What I'd like to do is I'd like to start on the right and work my way left. So we're going to be using aqueous liquids, right? And then we set how long we want our time. I prefer to run mine on a 23-hour schedule, and then it'll be ready after 23 hours for me to come and restart it. And now I'm going to go over here and I'm going to install all the extractor heads that I can muster based on my power output of my facility. So you can see this right here. This shows you over time how much you're going to get out of your extractor control unit. If I zoom in again and move that out of the way, you see all of these 10 heads around. So now what I'm going to do with each one of these heads is I'm going to watch up here for which one it is, and I'm going to want to try and put it in the hottest concentration, the highest concentration, so it'll get as much as it can get. So you see this one is on the top right, and I want to be around, it can be, that's really good right out there. That's 99. So I know that I'm going to be right out there in that area. But what I want you to see is when I take the extractor head and I get it too close, what it shows me is that I have a 2% reduction in its productivity because these overlap each other. See how they overlap each other? So what you've got to do is move it off just a little bit. Now we don't have that reduction. This is a really high quality planet for HiSec. I haven't seen numbers like this in none of my PI. Alright, so we're going to keep moving these around, and it's going to keep getting better as we're going along. And we're going to try to move all of these extractor heads out into this area. And what that's going to give us is it's going to give us a really high concentration and amount that it's going to pull per day, right? All right. So look at this. These are almost all in the hundreds. Let's work on this one. We can put it in the hundreds somehow, can't we? Right there. And then we got another one we need to put in the hundreds, which is right there. That's out of sight for a planet. Those numbers right there are very high. All right, so once I've set all of those extractor heads, I've chosen the P1 I want to make. I've told it how long I want to do it. This is a number that we need to keep track of right here. 686, 478. We need to keep that number. We need to write it down. All right? I always keep a pen and paper right here on my desk to write down notes as to what I'm doing and why I'm doing what I'm doing, I'm not real smart like that. So the extractor head was pulling. See, it just jumped up now. 738,666. 738,666. All right, I'm gonna have to keep that number in mind. All right, so we're gonna go back down here to our extractor head, and we're going to see what it's doing. Okay, it's working real hard. It's in cycle. Edits are pending. So we need to go over here and hit submit. So now you see that our extractor head has a red circle around it. When you click it, it's going to tell you that the items are not routed. These routes become very important as you lay out your facilities. When you're starting out, I suggest you just set your facilities in a straight line. It makes it easier. There's 100, you can build fancy triangles and, OCD about where they're laying and those kind of things. But we need to keep in mind what we're doing. All right. So the first thing that I like to do is I like to build a storage facility directly behind my control head unit. All right. Now watch what happens. When I get too close, it turns red, which means no, you can't do that. I got to move it back, and then I can click it. So I want to keep these links as close as I can, because you're going to have to link all of these. All right?
Got a question.
Shoot.
Every time you lay something down, you have to push submit, correct?
Yes, that's what I was saying, is that submit is
Okay.
a very important button that you're going to have to hit all the time. All right? So now I've got a storage facility. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to create a link between it. So I go over here and I create a link. I'm going to tap this, then I'm going to tap this, and then I'm going to submit that. All right? So now we have a link between these two, but it doesn't know what to do. So I'm going to go back up here. It's not routed, right? So we're going to click the, no, wrong arrow. We're going to click the products button. So it's extracting aqueous liquids, but it's not routed. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on it. We're going to create route, and let's go from here to here. We're going to create the route, and we're going to submit. So now the red's gone from this. It knows that it's going to fill up, and then it's going to push that to the storage unit. Okay? Now each one of these little things are going to be pretty particular, so you have to pay attention to what you're doing. All right. So now what we've got to do is we've got to figure out how many basic facilities are we going to need to facilitate using the set amount of 738,666. That number was derived from the extractor head itself, and it shows us what it will draw total over the 23-hour period. All right, so keep that in mind. We have to determine that equation, okay? So this is going to be rather confusing. What we're going to do is we're going to learn what 100% of one factory equals, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the number of factories that I want to try. I'm going to multiply that by 6,000, and I'm going to multiply that by the number of hours that my pull is going to be, okay? So I'm going to go over here to my utilities and my calculator. So I'm going to take 1, I'm going to multiply it by 6,000, and I'm going to multiply it by 23 hours, and that's what it's going to give me, 138,000. 138,000. That's what one factory at 100% is going to produce for me. Okay, so
Is there a tooltip that tells you how much the factory can pull per day?
yeah, that's what we're basically figuring out now.
Oh, I see. Well, so where'd the 6,000 come from?
Yeah, it just is.
Gotcha. It's maths.
It's math. It just is. I honestly don't know. I know that the calculation works. I don't have idle facilities on a pole. Okay, so You'll have to take that as my word. If you can understand the equation, I'd be glad for you to explain it to me. I have a hard time with it. I know that it works. So
Yeah, I can do a lot of math equations that I don't know what they mean.
yeah,
It's
right.
not important. I didn't know if there was a tooltip that showed that variable or not. But if it's just the 6,000 times hours, then that's an easy enough equation.
Yeah, yeah. So if you click this, uh, I don't know. It has to do with some of that stuff in there, and I don't really know. All right, so we know at 138,000 that we're going to need per factory. So I'm gonna put that in memory number one. Set that as memory number one. So we're gonna take that, multiply it by 3. We still ain't got enough.
5.
Okay, so we're going to
6 will take you too high.
$69,000. Okay, 5. The problem with using 5 facilities is that you're going to run into an excess. If you have an input of 738,666, there's going to be excess laying around. And then you're going to have backlog in your storage unit. So what you want to do is you want to figure 1 over that. So 6 is going to be probably the magic number, right? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
You want to avoid backlog. Okay?
Yeah, you would rather have underperforming factory than a overstocked storage unit.
Yes, that's well spoken. Thank you, Memnon. Yes, that's what you want to do. So we're going to build 6 facilities that are running this equation. All right, so so now we know how many facilities we need. We're going to go build a nice basic facility. All right, so we're going to build 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we're going to put a launch pad at the end of it. All right, now what I have to do is, we knew that we needed to create all of those facilities. Now I've got to link everything together. So an important thing to remember is that no PI product can move more than 5 jumps. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Never made the launch pad. So keep that in mind while you're running these. Okay, so I'm going to create links between each of these facilities and the launch pad too. Okay, so I'm going to start here, go here. I'm going to create a link from here to here. I'm going to create a link from here to here. Then I'm going to create a link from here to here. And then I'm going to create a link from here to here. And then I'm going to create a link from here to here. And we're going to go to here. And then we've got to go from here to here. And from here to here. And then I'm going to submit. So now everything has, as you see, been connected. All right, you with me so far? So what we're going to do is we're going to look at each one of these basic facilities, and we're going to figure out what we need to do to make it run. Okay? So what we've got to do is we've got to tell it what program to run. So I'm wanting to make, but do you remember what we were wanting to make?
Yeah, water.
We want to make water, so I'm going to install that program. Submit. See, notice how it changes. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do water. I'm going to do the same thing all through here. It won't let you speed it up. So I'm installing all of these basic factories to run the same program. Right? Right. Now you can see that they've all been installed with the program. Now notice what it says when I click one. It says input routes are missing. So it doesn't have any way to do anything until it gets product. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to find an input. Remember that all of our input came from the storage facility. So I hit the storage facility and I hit routes. We have an incoming route of 19324 aqueous liquids. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a route from there to there. And I'm going to create the route. I'm going to hit submit. Now notice that our facility has input, but it's not routed to an outcome. It doesn't have an outcoming. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to mark all of these with inputs. Right? Alright, so that one's good. This one, we need the storage facility. We need this. And we have incoming and we have outgoing go into the first one. So I'm going to use the incoming to go here. I'm going to use the storage facility routes. I'm going to use incoming. I'm going to create a route and it's going to go here. Okay? This is going to be the same for each one. I'm going to take the incoming. Notice these are all outgoing to these first three facilities. So I'm going to take the incoming. I'm going to create a route. It's going to go from there to there. Okay? Now I'm going to do the same thing for the other ones. Oops. Okay, so now we've got, as it stands, get off there. The extractor heads are pulling into the extractor control unit. The extractor control unit will run a full cycle around. It will dump into our hold. Now, the thing that we've not done is okay, I know how to make something. I know where I'm supposed to get it, but what do I do with it when I'm done with it? So we have to take each one of these facilities and we have to tell them to dump to the launch pad as output. You follow what I'm saying? So what we're going to do is we're just going to click on this facility. We're going to click on products and it's going to make 20%. We're going to click that. We're going to create the route. We're going to click the launch pad and we're going to create the route. And then we're going to hit submit. Notice how all the red is gone. Oops, stop it. All the red's gone around that facility. And if I click that facility, oh, it's still trying to hit link, so I hit escape here. Oops, that wasn't good. Minutes, UPI. All right, so now this one's ready to go. It's got everything it needs. It's got water routed to the launch pad. It's got an input coming from the storage unit. So now we've got to make them all like that. So we're going to basically take the products, we're going to route them, we're going to create a route, and we're going to the launch pad. We're going to create the route, and we're going to submit. We're going to take this, we're going to move the products, we're going to route them to the launch pad. And submit. And we're going to take this one, we're going to do the same thing, take the products, the routed, we're going to create the route, and we're going to get there and create route. Submit. So we're going to take this factory, we're going to take the products, we're going to click create a route, we're going to go here, create route, submit. Last factory. So we're going to take this, we're going to move the products from here that are our P2, and we're going to create the route to go to here. Create route. Submit. Now, how's that? You see how this works. Basically, you're bringing it in through the control units, you're dumping it in a storage facility, and it acts as a hold, and then you send it out to all of these little factories that will output out to the launch pad. Does that make sense? Do you have any questions?
Makes total sense to me. Picked up a lot of things I didn't know before this.
Okay,
Yeah, it's a lot to take in.
right? No hill for a stepper. I love it. I love it. I love it. If you have problems, I will be more than happy to help you take care of these PIs.
I think it's great that you're recording this because, we'll get it up on YouTube so that we can be able to look back and rewatch this and, see where we're missing things and stuff like that.
Yeah, I enjoy it. I'm not real good at the recording. I went through it 3 times before I figured out I wasn't even recording. But hey, the information's good. It's as best as I know accurate. And like I said before, don't take my word as the gospel. There are plenty other people out there that can do a much better job at explaining. Don't take my word as the final word. But that's how we're going to start our PI planet. All right, so I'm going to X out of here, and I'm going to go to my PI overview, and you can see right now that I have the PI running right here in OIPO. Right? Do you guys want to see how to pick up from your planets?
Yep, all I know how to do is just launch.
Okay, so I'm gonna go over to Haji. That's where I've got all of my PI. So I'm just gonna exit out of this. And let's see, how do you exit out of this? I always forget. Planetary. Well, we're gonna go to. Oh, I don't have all that showed up on there. We're gonna go to Haji.
Warp drive active.
Right through the planet.
Yeah, that was a huge planet too.
Yeah. So I have a safe in here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to warp to that location.
Warp drive active.
You just have to pick out your safe spot in the system. And there's a good reason. Alright, so we're going to go over here and pick up our chiral structures. Non-CS crystals make chiral structures. And the more you're around this, the more you'll become acquainted with the lingo. All right, I'm in my safe. I'm gonna cloak. Okay, now I'm somewhat safe. So here what we're gonna do is we're gonna access the customs office from this planet. You see that it's got right here 2060 chiral structures. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take them off the planet and put them over here in the orbit customs office, and it's going to charge me an arm and a leg because of POCO taxes. So I'm going to transfer that. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to jet over there. I'm going to uncloak. I'm going to jet over there to the customs office.
Warp drive active.
I'm going to pull open my PI hole. I want you to notice the rear end of the ship. When the lasers start coming back up, right here, see it doing that? That means you can move this stuff to your PI hold, and you've got it in there now. You can X that out, and you can go to your safe.
Warp drive active.
Normally what I like to do is I'll just go bang, 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 bang down the list, and I'll hit each one of them. And I'm gonna show you this for the next two planets. So now I picked up my PI. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit these next two at high speed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the custom office at 0. Then I'm going to access the custom office. While I'm en route, I'm going to pull over my material. I'm going to transfer it. Now, as soon as I come in, I'm going to be ready, and my jets will be coming in, and I'll transfer, and I'll be off to the next one.
Can anybody pick up your PI right now?
No, sir. I don't believe so.
Only you can pick it up.
I believe so.
Okay.
All right, so now I'm going to do the same thing to this one. I'm going to warp it to 0.
Warp drive
I'm going to go
active.
to the custom office, and I'm going to access custom office. I have 1720 there. I'm going to move it over here. I'm going to go ahead and pay my taxes. Now I'm going to be ready to pick up my PI again. So if you want to run through your planets, bing, 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 this is the way you do it. You have it open, you have it ready. The less time you're out in the open, the less you stand to get popped. So if I can minimize...
Yeah, that was the point I was going to make, is that the reason you want to do this is because the more lucrative PI is in like low sec and wormholes and stuff. So getting into a habit of quickly grabbing your stuff from the POCO and getting the hell out of Dodge is a good practice to be in.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and just show you this for a taste of what you're going to see later during the game. This is a P2 to P3 assembly planet, and this is kind of the way I've got it set up. These are advanced manufacturing, these are basic facilities. There's a ratio of 1 to 6 or 1 to 4. You have to have four basics to run one advanced, and this has got has a total of 4 PIs coming in at the same time, or 4 P1s, but this is an advanced planet. Okay, I don't want you to make these, because you need to make what you were told to make, and it makes life easier for everybody. So now I'm going to take my PI and I'm going to go back to OIPO.
Warp drive active.
And once you pay the tax at the POCO, it can stay there as long as there's room in the POCO hold, right?
Yes, you have a certain amount of space for your PI to sit in a POCO. No taxes, none of that. You already pay the tax when you initially pull it off the planet face. Now, another advantage to having the skills trained is that I can look at them from whatever system I'm in, right? So we can look back right now at the one we just laid down and see how it's doing, right? Got these guys about half done with their cycle. This next
Docking
pull will
request
be sent to
accepted.
these other three. And then I'll have all of the factories working on that particular water, aqueous liquids. So that's another advantage to having those skills, is I can start them from anywhere. But that's
And do you ever have to route to your command center? Is there any reason to link to your command center?
no, I don't. I don't think I have. I do mostly to the POCO. You can use your PI, your command center, as a route, as one step in the chain of 5 that you could use. It can be a pass through. It has a hold in it, but I don't know how big it is. But obviously, the way I like setting up my planets is that I don't want backlog ever. I want to try to be as efficient as I can with the total amount of resources that I've withdrawn. Backlog ain't no good. But that's basically a P0 to P1 rundown with one example of how to set up a P1 planet with really, really good numbers. I'm telling you, I'm so jealous of this planet. This is going to make a lot of ISK because the minerals are such high density and quality. So yeah, this is going to make a lot of money. But that's basically a P0 to P1 setup. Make sure you get with somebody in leadership to figure out what PI you need to make. We hope that you would not go willy-nilly and make a bunch of PI and sell it yourself. That's really your business, but for the good of the corporation, we'd like to keep everybody on the same page. And it's passive. You ain't got to fool with it. It will make you a little bit of money on the side. Now, it's not going to make you plex in rich, but it's going to be a couple million here, 10 million there. It's going to add up. So, and it's passive. That's the important thing. You can set the amount of time that you want your extractor heads to pull. You can use a 48-hour cycle. You can use, a 72-hour cycle. You can use whatever you want to do. But just remember that you got to plug into the calculation of how many hours your pull is. That way you can be efficient. The max number of buildings, I believe, that you can put on a planet is 12. That's I think right. I don't know for sure, but you can only put like 12 of everything on there.
And that's based on your power grid limitation, right?
That's what Command Center upgrades 5.
Right. So for our corporation production, we've got 6 basic P1s that we want to put in. So any of the P0 to P1, excuse me, P0 to P1s is the exact same setup, right? It's just based on materials, right?
It's just different materials. That's what makes this great, is that the process is the same regardless of what the material is, especially P0 to P1. When we start stepping away from P1 to P2, there's gonna be some differences.
Right, that's where we start getting into factory planets and stuff, right?
Exactly. And especially as you go on up the scale, it's going to be more intense. It's going to be more of the stuff you're going to need and all of that.
But like for instance, you got, let's say one of the group of us here really get a knack for it, and we're building a P0 to P1 on one planet, but then we can max up to 6 planets. So that one pilot could be submitting all the P1s needed for all the P2 production. So like that does just that one character can scale up to a decent amount of passive income.
That's exactly right. That's
'Cause
exactly right.
it's 100% buy guarantee on PI for the corporation. Like if you make it and it's in our it's in our scope of work that we're doing, the corporation is always going to buy it from you. So like literally, like I I'm personally not a big PI fan, but it makes me think that maybe it's worth setting it up. Just
Yeah.
six little planet clicks and send it off to the corp and make money.
Yeah. And don't forget, feel free to talk to me about it. Feel free. I'll be glad to help you. I can't do it for you, but I'll be glad to help you in any way that you need to have done.
We have a question in the chat. Does it matter where we make PI?
No. I'd prefer that you sell it to the corp. That I will say.
As far as making it, the only thing you have to think of is transportation. So if you're doing it in corp controlled systems, then you can contract in the corporation to move it for you. But if you're in a wormhole or in a back low sec system, we might not have the ability to get to that PI. So that's the only stipulation I would say for location is just make sure that it's accessible.
Any other kind of questions before we wrap it up? You guys good? Covered the material well?
Yeah. Definitely gave me a good grasp and deep understanding of that P0 P1 process.
Right? Great. Anybody else? Questions, comments, suggestions?